Hello everyone, it's Sophia and I'm back with another YouTube video featuring a Slimline card as part of my Slimline card series. This one's going to be a shaker card and it features the Mum and stamp set. So my inspiration for today is the sequin mix, and it's called Vitamin C, and it's got adorable little fish in it. And I love it so much, I really want to record it, so I didn't want to use it when I did this shaker card, so I've also been using some of the Hero Arts Ombre ocean mix, and the Beauty Bug swimming sequins as well. So I'm going to be using the Mama Slim Card Basics to make the shape windows, and as I said, the Mama Friends. So I showed you the MFT die set, but I didn't actually end up using that one in the end. So I'm just making my shape windows now, and the first thing that I need to do is attach the acetate from it. So I'm just using some very strong double-sided scotch tape, and I will be attaching my acetate to the front. It was a little bit off, so I did need to trim, you know, kind of a corner off so that it wasn't sticking out, but other than that, it was fine. So this is the front of the shaker pouch. Just desperately trying to make it nice and flat. So I've doubled up some foam tape. This is 3M Scotch foam tape. If you've not been here before, then you probably have learned about my crazy fat roll that I got from Amazon, and I didn't check what the dimensions were, so I think it's about 2.5 inches or 2 inches thick. So I've just doubled that foam tape over and created very thin strips so that I can keep all of the shaker bits in each individual window. I ended up just not having enough, so I off screen just cut another extra little bit. But yeah, you need to make absolutely sure that you're butting the ends of your foam tape up against the other bits of foam tape so that nothing can escape through. So I've got 3 separate shaker wells for each window so that we can keep the shaker bits in each window and they don't all just disappear down to the bottom. So I've stamped all of my marine friends onto some Nina Classic Crest alcohol-friendly cardstock, and I was using the Spectrum Noir Finesse Rustic Brown. That's relatively new ink for me, but it is created by Spectrum Noir specifically for use with their alcohol markers. And I didn't really want a black outline because this card is inspired by the sequin mix and it's mostly aquas with a few bits of orange in. I didn't really want black, so I used a brown because I was planning on creating the fish and the seahorses in the orange and yellow colour scheme that the little clayfish in the shaker mix are. So the little fishes I coloured orange, and the Spectrum Noir markers that I used were OR1, OR2 and OR3. Just covered the whole body in the lightest shade, and then added the OR2 towards the bottom of the fish because I'm assuming that the light source is coming from above because they are in the sea, so the light will be coming downwards. So the shading was at the bottom of the fish. Added a teeny amount of OR3 and then blended it all out again with OR1. So the seahorses, again, covered the whole thing in my base colour, which is GB4. Added GB6 as my shadow, and again that's going on the bottom of the body, underneath the jaw, where the head would cast a shadow, and I also coloured the little fin on the seahorse's head with that GB6, and just added the OR1 as my kind of darkest shade for the seahorse, and just to keep the seahorse in the kind of orange-yellow colour spectrum. So I've done all the seahorses and all the tiny little fish. I decided that I wanted a little pop of green, so I stamped out this sea turtle, and I'm using LG3, LG5, CG4, and eventually I will go in with a GB6 to create the pattern on the shell. So again, exactly the same. I do a full coat of the lightest shade, the LG3, go in to create shadows underneath, so on the bottom of the head, underneath the edge of the shell, on the lower bits of the flippers, and that's with LG5. The CG4 is for the shell. And I also created a few spots on the bigger turtle with the LG5 just for a bit of texture. And as I said, I will be using the GB6 just to create some patterning on the shell, which I'll show you in a minute. Obviously these greens aren't in the shaker mix, and you know, kind of I could have stuck with the orange colour scheme, but I decided that I just wanted a little bit of extra colour. So just using the GB6 here to create the pattern on the shell. If you've ever seen green turtles, they're not all green. They are like a little bit brown. So when I die cut all of my fish and seahorses and the turtles, I decided that I didn't like the white outline. I mean, normally I'm fine with it, but I didn't like it this time around. So I used one of my Spectrum Noir markers just to outline them all so that they would be roughly the same colour as the soft pool or soft sky even Stampin' Up cardstock that I used for the card base and the card front. And these are created from the Hero Arts Fancy Coral dies. And again, I wanted to keep them in the orange colour scheme from the inspiration of the sequin mix. So they're coloured in with the chisel end of the marker with the OR2 and the OR3. So here is the sequin mix that I've been banging on about for the entire video. And as I said, I love it so much, I really want to hoard it. So I was being really, really careful about, you know, kind of, oh, I don't want to add too much. I don't want to add too much. And this is the Hero Arts Ocean Ombre Mix. And because I've got a lot more of these sequins, I was just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's fine. I'll add more of those. So the reason why I stamped and die cut so many little fish was so that I could put them in the shaker windows as well. So the little turtle and one little fish goes in the top window, and then for the bottom two windows there are one little fish and one little seahorse in each. And I've saved the coral, one seahorse and one fish, and the big turtle to go on the front of the card so that they're kind of consistent throughout. Again, just adding a few more bits and pieces to my shaker wells. And this is just a piece of acetate that I'm pressing onto the adhesive of my foam. And this way I can turn my shaker piece over, and I haven't adhered it to the card, and therefore I don't need to worry about making sure that it's perfectly lined up the first time around. Used a much larger piece of acetate than I needed so that I would be able to trim it. Did a pretty good job of lining it up on the other side actually, so it's relatively straight on one side and just needed to trim it on two sides. And I have shaker bits! So this is my entire shaker section. I'm just using some high-tack glue to adhere the turtle, the fish and the seahorse and the bits of coral to the front of my card now. And I'm adhering them flat because it's already got the double layer of foam tape for the shaker windows, so I don't want to use too much dimension on the front, otherwise this is going to really struggle to go through the post. So I'm just going to tuck the... oh no, I'm going to stick the little fish on the other side to try and balance the card out because I've got the turtle on that side. And I'm going to tuck the little seahorse into the coral because if you've ever seen seahorses on the TV or in person, they tend to kind of wrap their little tails around coral so that they don't get washed away by strong currents. So I'm just tucking that little seahorse in there. And you can see in the middle window I've got my little seahorse and fish in the windows, and they shake really nicely, and they're the right way around so you can see what they are. So now I just need to stamp my sentiment on the inside of my Slimline card. I'm using Stampin' Up! Bermuda Bay, I think it is, ink. And the sentiment that comes in the set says "Big Birthday Fishes," and just another one of the little fish to emphasize the marine theme. And now the kind of penultimate bit is attaching the shaker windows to the card base. So I'm really, really bad at lining up kind of card toppers with the card base. So I'm using double-sided sticky tape here, which is really, really strong, and the second it grabs. But I kind of need to use wet glue as well, because otherwise I will always get it stuck in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is remove the backer from my double-sided tape and then add wet glue over the top of the double-sided tape, just to give me that little bit of wiggle room so that I can make sure that I've definitely got the top panel with an even border around the edges. So again, just using my high-tack glue and just squeezing that all over the place. So the only thing that I have left to do now is I added some Nuvo jewel drops in Sea Breeze, but I didn't press record, so I don't have any footage of that because I was a little bit distracted by the cat's joy. But yeah, so this is essentially my card done. Happy, joyous shaker card, and you can see from the final images that I added the jewel drops. Please let me know in the comments below if you like this video, if you're a fan of the Slimline size, and what Slimline cards you've been making. And I'd love for you to join me for other cards in this Slimline series, so if you haven't already, do subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so that you can be notified of any future videos that I upload. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I hope to see you at my YouTube channel again soon. Bye!